Aloha everyone, this is Tanya Ahina with Hawaii Homes by Tanya at Century 21 iProperties Hawaii, and today my guest is Jalene Bell, founder of NOHO Home.
Mahalo and aloha Tanya, thank you for having me. I'm Jalene Kanani, and my company is NOHO Home by Jalene Kanani. We do Hawaiian-inspired home decor. We call it Style with Aloha. Our goal is to put quality, authentic, unique home decor products such as 100% comb cotton, sateen bedding, shower curtains, drapery, made in Hawaii decor pillows out into the market, and to change and really tell our own stories what that aesthetic is globally. Well, my background is commercial textile and product design and sales. So I started off working with architects and interior designers to select products that would go into commercial applications. And what I quickly found out is that there were really no designs that spoke to our island heritage, our culture, our own unique flora and fauna. And so as a proud Native Hawaiian, that just kept gnawing at me. So I started to design for the commercial community. So I would put my designs into carpets and then fabric, wall covering, and it would be predominantly in the hotels, but also in banks and other commercial spaces, hospitals, military installations. And so really a wonderful career around that. But I always say I did it for the aunties when I talk about NOHO Home, because all of my aunties would be like, oh, can I have a pillow, or can I have a rug? And I'd have to say, sorry, like either you're gonna have to buy 500 or it's gonna be pretty expensive. Finally, I decided that I wanted to bring some of the design, some of the stories, and the overall aesthetic to the community. We launched NOHO Home in January of last year.
So start from the beginning.
Well, I was born and raised here on Oahu in Kapahulu, but I really identify in my years of growing up in Waimanalo. My father is from Kohala, and so I have a lot of ohana there a few times. I mean, I grew up in Waikiki. I started dancing at the Outrigger Luau show when I was 14, and then I went across the street to Tehati's and danced in the Aina House showroom into my college years. So I really loved my community of Kailua and Waimanalo. I moved around a bit. And now I live in Kapolei. Growing up, my mother, Wailani Bell, she was the education coordinator for the Polynesian Voyaging Society right after their successful voyage. So it was a really exciting time for her. They were doing great things. I had no idea. I was just, around for the meetings and just kind of followed her around and soaked up and absorbed all of the things that were going on in the time of the Renaissance, really the Hawaiian language. She was also pretty involved in the establishment of OHA in terms of, being around for that. I remember sleeping under boardroom tables and in waiting rooms while she was having meetings. And then she went on to work for Alulike as the entrepreneur training specialist, and actually has trained thousands of Native Hawaiians in how to start their own business.
I was one of them, I think.
No!
Back in the early 90s.
Oh my gosh, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
This happens all the time. I'll meet someone and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Belle is Wailani your mother? Yes. I got such an education without even knowing I was getting an education growing up. My mom also had a design business. She had Wailani Originals Hula Girl Creations. And her most famous design was POI, People of Importance.
I think I remember that. Yes. I
And
do
so
remember that.
she was in Liberty House.
Yeah.
She was in Liberty House and McInerney's. And we did craft fairs every single weekend. And I must say, I did not enjoy that as a teenager, having to do craft fairs every weekend. So yeah, so I told myself, I'm going to live the corporate life, and, that's what I did for a while. And then it just came knocking. When in my work, I just was not finding, things that spoke to us. But here, as the hotel industry, with so many visitors and tourists, you want to be telling some stories, and taking advantage of that opportunity to really connect on a more authentic way. I had really had it with like fluorescent palm leaves and and fleur-de-lis and scrolls, and I'm like, come on, we can do better.
And so what is it that you're currently working on? How are you guys handling this COVID environment?
Honestly, going into it, I thought, well, this is great. We'll have time to refocus. And when I say great, I just mean that when you've resolved yourself to knowing that Merry Monarch is not happening and all the product that you had purchased for it is no longer needed. Yeah. After that moment, when you sit in it, I thought, okay, well, we'll have time. I'll have time to do those things that maybe go back to basics. And we started as an e-commerce brand, and that was our goal. But we kind of got a little sidetracked because, immediately we did a trunk show with Bloomingdale's, some opportunities with other larger wholesalers, a partnership that was about to launch with Macy's. Actually, we had finished 2 of 6 launches when COVID hit of Homeworld. So we got a lot of traction in the wholesale market, which kind of turned our attention away from really honing the e-commerce experience. We got involved with Pop-Up Makeke, put on by the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, both as a show sponsor and as a brand that was selling. Like everyone else, everyone's been pivoting to the online platforms. We were there to begin with, so it was actually no transition, so to say. It was just honing the skills and scaling. There's certainly supply chain issues with COVID in every marketplace, and even now, there even as markets open up, there's still shipping issues because now you're having a large influx of shipping, a large influx of raw materials. And then, of course, COVID is hitting different countries at different times. It's hitting our own community.
How are you folks setting yourselves up for resilience?
In business, I think you have to always be thinking forward and ahead, and not just when a crisis comes. It's always been my philosophy to think big, big, hairy dreams far away. Being able to execute on our plans that we already kind of had in the hopper, that's really the resiliency. And quite frankly, we've, in the last few weeks, maybe even a month, we've already seen that. We've seen that business has started to come back in a very good way. As a businesswoman, I think a lot of those values do come from core values as a person. And as a Native Hawaiian, you always have that that connection to the land, the people, right? Your kūlana. And so as I've over the years thought about what my kūlana is, I've made it more niche, and where can I add value? which is exactly how I think about business. Business should always be about the value that you bring to a relationship. Business is all about relationships. So you think about how can you bring value to someone else. And if you bring them value, they will support you and they will bring value back. And if they don't, then that's not a good business relationship. It's always been relationships, and then connection. So creating avenues of connection. So whether you're a catalyst for connection, or creating opportunities for connection in our home decor, that's really what we're just trying to do. We're trying to give opportunities for people to connect to, maybe their histories, maybe an experience, maybe some kind of touch point in their, in just their feeling and their aesthetic in terms of maybe color or texture, lightness, darkness. How do they connect to that? What does it remind them of, right? So whether it's actual connections, like bringing people together and having these conversations, or if it's just you connecting with your space, and creating an environment that is one of safety, security, love. Those are the values that are always so associated with home. Yeah.
Right now, what kind of challenges or problems are you seeing, and how are you addressing those?
With e-commerce, you need to learn it, and it's very cutting edge. It's very you don't go to school for it. You go to webinars every single day for it. Like, you ingratiate yourself into the latest and the greatest in terms of trends. You have to seek out people all over the world, not just in Hawaii, not just on the mainland, but you need to be on, a call with someone in a foreign country who's got some special knowledge that they're sharing. Now, as far as home decor, there's been lots of challenges around that. Just forget COVID, but it's a challenge to do from Hawaii, period. So the reason why there hasn't necessarily been someone who's done what we've done in terms of creating products that would sit on a shelf at a Macy's or a Nordstrom's or Bed Bath & Beyond is because there are only a few people who are in that space in general in the United States. So all that you see with Tommy Bahama and Calvin Klein and Martha Stewart in the stores, they're all licensed by 3 different companies. So just the fact that the nature of the market segment itself is very difficult, high barrier to entry. And then our location, there's not much manufacturing here. So that was one of our goals, is to bring some manufacturing here in a greater way. So we did invest in state-of-the-art dye sublimation, roll-to-roll, inkjet, and heat press, so that we would be able to make quality home decor products on commercial fabrics for the home and for hospitality as well.
Is there much manufacturers that you can work with?
We manufacture what is smart to manufacture in Hawaii here, and it is a big process. But we're trying to develop some systems that won't make it so challenging. We're also trying to show other people how to do that too. Part of our mission, so our logo, I call it our kanu leaf. It's an architectural drawing that I did, and we called it kanu meaning to plant. And that's because, our goal is to also plant seeds of entrepreneurship within the lahuia, so that what we learn or what we do, we can show others, pass on to others, collaborate with others, So this first year, we're getting our footings and making sure that we have proof of concept. And once we have proof of concept, you know, we have some really exciting things. And thinking about how we grow, you know, not only Native Hawaiians, but also Hawaii brands. I'm a part of the accelerator Mana Up. I was in their third cohort and part of the alumni. And so we're constantly thinking about, you know, how do we elevate, grow, scale, think thoughtfully about Hawaii brands and what, you know, what messages we want to communicate, what opportunities that we can bring to the islands. In partnering, you know, with different organizations, whether it be, you know, Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement and the Pop-Up Makeke, there are, you know, it's really come to light some of the things that we can do to help other small businesses, micro enterprises, go from micro to small, right? And then from small to medium, from medium to big, from big to global. And each of those transitions need a lot of help, resources, and not all of those businesses want to, you know, go that whole trajectory. But meeting different entrepreneurs where they're at and adding, you know, adding opportunity and services to them. I remember talking with the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce about things that could be done to help other businesses at the micro level or small business. One of them being having a directory of knowledge. So as a brand, as a Hawaii brand, as well as I think other Hawaii brands, we utilize lots of contractors. You know, people are doing graphic design for us. People might be writing. People might be creating content, pictures, right? But you want all of that to come from, if you're a Hawaii brand, you want it to come from a Hawaii context. And so they're really, you know, you have to go hunting for someone who has that context, right? Like if you just go to an online marketplace like Upworks or Fiverr, they're not going to have your context. They're not going to understand what you mean. So if you tell them make some content for me, you know, I'm this business from Hawaii, and then they send you some content with a lot of pineapples and rainbows and, you know, really hot girls diving into the ocean. So
I have that experience. Yes, I had someone design me a logo off of Fiverr, and they came back with this touristy concept, and I was like, no, that's not it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I ended up designing my own logo.
Yes.
And my daughter's an artist, so she perfected it, and that was it.
And in that same vein, that's actually how I started actually doing my own designs. I would send my inspiration to the manufacturers of carpet and fabric and wall covering. I would tell them what I wanted, but they would send me back something totally different that was, you know, in the back of their head. And I said, you know, I'm just going to have to do this myself. And that's how I actually started to do my own designs some 20 years ago.
Tell us about your products that you sell, the actual items.
We're very famous for our 100% comb cotton sateen bedding. It's ultra soft to the touch. It's cool and lightweight. And we have lovely 5-star reviews. And it's just been very well received by our consumers. We have made in Hawaii performance decor pillows, as well as kitchen textiles. They have DuPont soil and stain protection on them. So, you know, when you see the commercials of people pouring wine on them, I like to do shoyu from the shoyu bottle. That's what I like to demonstrate. We have lovely Puakeni scented candles and soap. we're bringing out gardenia is our next launch at the end of the month.
What is like your top seller or top item?
Well, Puakeni Kenny candle and our maluhia bed. No, actually, our hoʻohia moi is doing equally as well. So yeah, our bedding.
So that's comforter or blanket or the whole ensemble, or what is?
So we offer comforters. Those are the ones that have the fill in them. We have a very light fill in it because you know Hawaii is of course hot. We use our comforters year round. We also have duvet covers.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we have sheet sets, and we have Euro shams, and then of course most people buy a couple of decor pillows to accent even on top of that.
Wonderful. And you must get a lot of people in the mainland that order.
Right? We do. I mean, not as many as we'd like.
I'm sure, but there's definitely a market. They love Hawaii things.
Absolutely. You know, we started with our core audience, you know, but as we started to do more e-commerce, we definitely have seen our audience grow.
Do you do a lot of online advertising, or do you do more organic posts online with social media?
So
how do you?
We did almost no online advertising. Like we put almost no money into online advertising until the last maybe 2-3 months. It was predominantly organic, and then we did do some TV ads around Mare Monarch.
So is that part of your plan for resiliency going forward, that you'll initiate more online advertising and utilize more of those social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook? Where are you predominantly on the social platform? What platform do you use most?
So we use Instagram predominantly. We do, of course, have a Facebook page with a following. And we're actually about to launch our Facebook group. And our Facebook group is going to be centered around creating your home with connection. Really just about having conversations. You know, everyone's been home for 2 months, for 3 months. And yeah, they've been staring at their things thinking like, oh, maybe we'll want to change up. But they've also been thinking about, how do I want to change my life? Do I really want to go back to the life I had before? Am I going to, you know, maybe try to incorporate more work from home? Do I want to have a more open, airy space? You know, do I actually want to, you know, fill it with curated items versus, oh, it was on sale at Target, so I bought it. So, you know, I think, you know, I kind of think about someone who comes home and you exhale, right? You exhale because you've come home to things that you have a connection to, you're familiar with, you curated them, you know, they meant something to you for whatever reason, whether it be the story behind the pattern or the color or the texture, or it smells like your grandma's house, you know, like, how do I take something very untangible and turn it into a tangible, you know, a tangible space, a usable, tangible space? How do you do that? So having those conversations, I mean, there'll be a lot of fun prompting activities that, you know, we'll sponsor and engage. But it's really, you know, for the community to come and have like a safe space.
You know, I was thinking, as you're talking about bringing experiences, you know, more home to people and really tapping into that so that they're purchasing things that really mean something rather than, like you said, on sale. You know, that's an interesting concept, because I've been learning that this new generation coming up, the millennials, they're all about experiences.
Experience is the new luxury.
Yes, and they're all about that.
You know, when we started off, we thought that you know, the majority of our customers would be, you know, 45 to 65. Our largest demographic is 30 to 40. So, you know, it's a whole decade lower than we had thought it would be. And it could be because where we're showing up, right? We don't do newspaper, you know, we only do TV around Mary Monarch, so we're showing up on Instagram.
What's part of your resiliency plan when it comes to getting help? I mean, this whole new technology, techie world and platforms and all of this is something new, right? So to go into the future with this, are you hiring more people? What are you doing to, sustain that for the long term?
I think part of the resiliency is, how do you look at your cash flow? How do you, how have you utilized the resources that were available? PPE, EDIL, EPDL, yeah, what I'm talking about. Community resources, how are you leveraging that? And then if you already had a growth and scale plan in place, there may need to be a bit of correction to that to correct to the market and the marketplace. So to that point, our scaling plan in general is we need to hire more message, like not only scaling our messaging, but having better messaging, more honed in, focused conversations with our consumers, how to bring more value to them, how to create amazing purchase experiences, how to create relationships. That's all part of our resiliency, as well as our growth. One of the things that we are really excited about is bringing not only well-paying but interesting jobs to Hawaii, right? So we already know that it's very hard to do business here. The cost of living is very high, and you want people to make a good wage, and you want to attract our kids back home. I'm trying to get my 27-year-old back home, and so to be able to not only just have the jobs, but to have interesting jobs, jobs that are about innovation, that get to use technology in some way, shape, or form, jobs that are maybe a little bit more community minded, that serve a social purpose. Are we going, we just got this big pause for the hospitality industry, right? Big pause. I mean, no one's ever seen this in their life. I've already made my dinner reservation at Hau'oli Lanai so that I can sit at Hau'oli Lanai and look at Waikiki Beach with no tourists, because that's never going to happen again. So I haven't been to Waikiki yet since COVID. I've only seen pictures of the quiet and so I'm not sure how I will actually feel when I'm there. But I'm really interested in it and seeing what that feels like, and then to be able to experience it for a while.
Yeah.
But I actually brought it up because I think it's an opportunity for us to think about how do we recreate this, right? Everyone's thinking about, okay, well, how do I recreate my life so that it's maybe not so much like it was before and a little bit different? Well, how is tourism maybe not exactly like it was before? How is it a little bit different? How can it contribute more to the host culture? How can it be more sustainable? So I think there's a lot of good questions and fantastic opportunities around this. By the way, I think there's actually a tremendous amount of opportunities around where we're at now. Innovation is going crazy. There is an amazing amount of innovation that is happening as we speak, because of the COVID, in many different market segments, quite frankly, quite probably all of them. And a lot of them would have taken years to implement, absolute years to implement. But it's being done, overnight, in a week's time, and then you would have had to have had market adaptation to innovation. Market adapts immediately now, right? So I think it's really an interesting opportunity if you can see it.
Yes. I agree. From the very beginning, I was saying this is full of opportunity. This time is full of opportunity. You just got to look for it.
Yeah. Did you ever read the book Who Moved My Cheese? Well, I would just say that for this moment in time, and in every moment of time, but I'm going to pick this particular book, which is Who Moved My Cheese, because it's really about change and adapting to change. Example, so two mice and some cheese, and then two little people who are like the size of mice. And the people, I think the people's name was Hem and Haw. It's really about not only so one day they show up, the four of them show up, and there's no cheese, right? There's no cheese, and they're so used to this routine. Well, so they go home and they come back the next day and there's still no more cheese. Okay, no cheese. What are we going to do about it? And they all react differently to it. But because the mice had kind of, they had kind of had a thought process and a plan, and they noticed, they kind of noticed what was going on with the cheese. Oh, there seems to be less and less cheese every day, or the cheese seems to be less and less good tasting over time. So they were already noticing the changes that were happening. They didn't know, like COVID, that it's gonna blow up and explode your way of living. But for those people, and I'll just say like a business, for those businesses who have taken advantage of technology and have taken advantage of social platforms, they were ahead of the game when this hit, right? And everyone else is just trying to catch up, and trying to hold on to own ways, or trying to hold on to, oh, this is the day that we're going to open up and get back to normal. Okay, you can do that, or you can try to get to where you were trying to go before, or in the sense of like growing and learning if you're on that trajectory. Anyway, but it's always been how I've practiced my my business, my work ethic, my family situation, always kind of with some forethought. What's next? What's on the horizon? Always learning. I'm 49. So
I just had my birthday this past May. I just turned 49.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're not afraid to say so.
Hey, yeah, I mean, it's 49 years of experience, and I could kind of rest on that and start to plan my retirement or golf or whatever else. But here I am, starting a new line of business, because I find so many things so incredibly energizing. I love the startup community. Everyone, I think I'm like the kupuna in the mana up startup world. Most people are much younger than me. And I draw so much inspiration from that.
Thank you, Jalene, for just your mana'o. Thank you so much for being my guest. I look forward to all the things you're going to be doing, and invite me to your Facebook group, please.
Oh, for sure. No, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun, and I look forward to seeing you and talking with you again.
Well, you guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.
Aloha. Ahui ho. You just got for
Hi,
more
husband.
for putting up the podcast.
Take two.
I like to do shoyu from the shoyu bottle. When I was a teenager, I used to hang out at the shack in Kailua.
Are they still open?
I think I mean, I don't know about open like yesterday, but I forgot what we were talking about before.
It's okay. We can edit this out.
Okay. Yay. Yeah.